Okay, this is 5.2. Now we're going to be using what we know about slope-intercept form to finish it all the way through, no matter what information they give us. Well, now, whenever we write an equation in slope-intercept form, we always need to know what the slope is. And once we know the slope, we really don't need too much else besides at least 1 point, because we're going to need to find the y-intercept. In 5.1, the y-intercept was given to us in an ordered pair, or it was shown to us in an equation, or shown to us on the graph. Now we're really going to have to find it, and I'll show you how to do that. But once we have our m and our b, all we need to do is plug that information into our slope-intercept form. So every time we're doing this, figure out what your value of m is, figure out what your value of b is, and then plug them in. So the direction is to write an equation of the line that passes through the point 1, 2, and has a slope of 3. Now, good news, we already have a value for m. They've told us slope. Slope is 3. But the ordered pair that they gave us is not the ordered pair that is the slope, or that is the y-intercept. So we actually need to do a little bit more work than that. We know that the slope is 3, so we're going to substitute the slope for m in our equation y equals mx plus b. So our m we know is 3. But did you know ordered pairs are always an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate? In that situation, if you plug in the value of 1 to the equation that matches this line, you will always get out the number 2, which is the y-coordinate. So we're going to take our ordered pair 1, 2, and we're going to plug that point into our equation. That gives us all the information we need to solve for our b. Now do be very careful. Remember, the first number in an ordered pair is actually the x value, which is multiplied by slope. The second number in the coordinate is the y value, which is set by itself. So then all we have to do is solve for b. 3 times 1 is 3. Subtract 3 on both sides, and b equals -1. We have a value for slope. We have a value for y-intercept, and now all we need to do is write our equation. Y equals 3x minus 1. So let's try that again. In this one here, we're going to write an equation of a line. Now this line passes through the point 2, 2, but it has a slope of 4. Well, we already know our m. So in our equation, y equals mx plus b. They gave us an example of an x and a y that work in the equation. So 2 equals 4 times 2 plus b. And all we need to do now is solve for b. And b equals -6. I have my slope, I have my y-intercept, and I just need to plug them in. Here's my answer. The equation y equals 4x minus 6 has a slope of 4, and we'll have the ordered pair 2, 2. There we go. Now, sometimes they won't even give you the slope, but we're going to find an equation of a line that passes through both of these ordered pairs. Well, if we don't have the slope, we can find the slope using 2 ordered pairs, using the formula that we know, where we subtract our y-coordinates, -3 minus 1, subtract our x-coordinates, 2 minus -2, -4/4. We know our slope is -1. Well, think about the examples we had before. If we knew a slope value and we knew an ordered pair, we would take that information and plug it in. Now, in this case, we have 2 ordered pairs, so you can just pick one. They've picked the first one for you, which is 2, -3. So we're going to plug in the -3 for y. We now have our slope of -1. The x-coordinate is a +2, and we solve for b. 2 plus b, that means b equals -1. Because when you add 2 to both sides, there you go. Now, the equation then, now that we have our m and our b, -x minus 1, if you had used the other ordered pair, the -2, 1, with our slope information, you would actually get the exact same answer for b. Because if our y is -1, our slope is, our y is 1 equals our slope of -1 times our x-coordinate of -2. 1 equals 2 plus b. We are going to get the exact same value for b. So it really doesn't matter which ordered pair you use because you're going to get the same value of b. With that slope and that y-intercept, it's going to go through those 2 points that were given. So let's check that out again. If the 2 points they gave you, the first thing we're going to do is find the slope. So I'm going to subtract my y-coordinates, subtract my x-coordinates. I'm finding slope here, sorry. That's negative 15 over negative 12, which reduces to positive 5/4. That means my slope is 5/4. Now I'm going to have to choose one of those ordered pairs to plug into the slope-intercept form. And looking at my options, I'm going to go with the easy one, 4/2. So my y equals my slope times my x-coordinate plus b. Well, 5/4 times 4 just gives me 5. That means b equals negative 3. I now have all the information I need to write my equation in slope-intercept form. Nicely done. Now, number 3 is actually quite a doozy. If you want to solve it, you can. The answer should be negative 3/2 x minus 1/2. I know it's not pretty, but it's halves. So if you want to try this and check that you can find the slope and the y-intercept, that's what your answer should be. Negative 3/2 minus 1/2 would give you both of those ordered pairs. So you've kind of gotten all of your options here. If we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form, there's 3 different ways they can give us information. The first way they can give us information is to just tell us what the slope and the y-intercept is. They can do that by telling us the information or even just showing us a graph of it. In that case, all we have to do is write the equation. There's really not very much work involved. Or they can give us a value for slope and just one ordered pair. When they do that and they give you the value for slope and one ordered pair, we can plug in all of the values for y, m, and x, and then we have to solve for b. If they give us 2 points and no slope whatsoever, that's when we've got to find our own slope first. Then we can plug in our slope and our ordered pair for x and y to solve for b. So every time you're looking at the information they're giving you, ask yourself, did they give me slope and a point, or did they give me 2 points? Because if they gave you the information like number 1, where they gave you everything you need, you better just write your equation. Even if we're looking at story problems, go back and think, did they give me slope and a point, or did they give me 2 points? So in this one, a carnival charges $2.50 per ride after an entrance fee. You paid a total of $22.50 after 6 rides. What kind of information did they give you here? Well, $2.50 per ride, that per, they gave us a slope. But this $22.50 after 6 rides, there's an ordered pair. They gave us a point. So they gave us slope and a point. To be able to write the equation, we need to find the y-intercept. So I'm actually going to need to take that slope and plug in my point of 22.50 after 6 rides. But you need to know which one's your input and which one's your output. Here they said write an equation that gives you the total cost as a function of the number of rides. That means your rides is your input, your cost is your output. You also can tell that from the slope, because slope, is rise over run. And they told you cost per ride. So there's your y compared to your x. It's kind of a dead giveaway as well. So when I do this, my ordered pair is actually 6, 22.50. So I have 22.50 equals 250 times 6 plus my b. And all we need to do is solve. So my b is 750. If you look back at this story, your b is your starting point. It's when x equals 0. And x is our number of rides. So how much do you have to pay when you have gone on no rides? You have to pay an entrance fee. The 750 is that entrance fee. So my equation, my cost equals 250 per ride plus my entrance fee. So I can figure out how much for 15 rides by plugging in 15 and solving. And I know you guys can do that. So take a look at this story. What information did they give us? For science class, you need to know the Celsius equivalent of a room temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. To estimate the Celsius equivalent, you use the facts that 32 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to 0 degrees Celsius, and that 212 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to 100 degrees Celsius. Estimate the Celsius equivalent to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, I don't see any pers in there, but they told me 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius. That looks like a point to me. And then they also told me this other piece of information. They just gave me 2 points. We know 2 points. So we need to figure out our slope. But we need to know our input and our output. And look at these. If you were going to do an input-output table, like an X and a Y table, would you have the Fahrenheit as the input and then the Celsius as the output, or the other way around? It actually doesn't matter which. There's no specific input or output here. There really isn't. So you might come up with a different equation, but no matter what, you would plug in that 70 to wherever your degrees Fahrenheit were. In that case, if I have to plug in 70, I'm going to use that degrees Fahrenheit as my x. So I would use the points 32.0 and 212.100 because then my Fahrenheit is my input, my x. Just makes it easier to solve, but it really doesn't matter which way you set it up. But from 2 points, I know you guys can find your slope and then find your y-intercept. Here is your homework for 5.2 and enjoy!